Hello, everyone. Welcome.
Hello.
This is episode 13 of season 2 of the Random Album Review. For those of you who do not already know, I am Larry.
And I am Brian.
And the way this works is each week, Brian and I alternate choosing an album for the other person to listen to in its entirety. We listen to it off camera. Then we get on here, we discuss it a little bit. We talk about the background of the band. We talk a little bit about the songs, background information. You know, the simple, the basics. We give our favorite songs, our least favorite songs. We give a score, and we move on and we do it next week.
Yep.
It's easy.
Very simple.
So, Brian, this week, obviously, I think you noticed pretty quickly upon listening, and maybe even before listening, this album this week is a little different. This week, I chose to cover a live album, and this week in particular, I chose Nirvana's live album from their MTV Unplugged session titled MTV Unplugged in New York. That's it.
Very descriptive in their sentencing.
I mean, admittedly, tells you everything you need to know. I guess. It's MTV Unplugged in New York.
In New York.
I guess being on that topic, for those who weren't around or maybe didn't pay attention living under a rock, Brian says that a lot.
Under a rock.
For those of you who don't
Scalawags.
understand or don't know what MTV Unplugged is, basically in the late 80s, early 90s, and then a little bit less frequently in the thousands and into the 2010s, MTV did a thing where they would invite groups or solo acts, and they would have them perform some of their big songs unplugged, meaning they wouldn't use electric guitars, they wouldn't use electric basses, they wouldn't use anything electric, basically. It would all be, the bare bones. Acoustic guitar, acoustic bass, simple drums, just a really simple, easy session. Some other artists that have done an unplugged session just for, I guess, the idea of relevancy here. You have Elton John, Aerosmith, Paul McCartney of the Beatles, Mariah Carey, Pearl Jam, Eagles, Bob Dylan, the Cranberries, Paramore, we covered them. And that's literally just a handful on a list that goes on and on and on and on. There's a couple hundred probably.
Well.
This live performance in particular took place on November 18th, 1993. I was obviously not around.
Really?
Surprising information.
Wow.
The album was recorded on that night in the studio and then was released the following November on the 1st in 1994. This was released almost 7 months after Kurt Cobain took his life.
Oof.
It is the only record to have been produced or done after his death posthumously.
Is that how you say it?
Yes, posthumously.
It's not posthumous?
No, posthumous.
Okay. That's how I've been saying it. And everyone understands what I'm saying, so
I mean,
we take it.
admittedly, I think I said that for a while until I heard somebody say posthumous for the first time.
Okay.
But anyway,
Yeah.
this album in particular, mixing it in the studio after the death of Kurt, the two other members, Dave Grohl, and I feel so bad. I always forget the other guy. He's the third guy in Nirvana. It's kind of joked about.
The third guy in Nirvana.
It's
my
kind of the
God.
truth. But the two of them together, the original plan was to make a double album. This album was going to be on another live album. It was supposed to be like two live albums back to back. It was a strange concept, but when they were in the process of doing the other record, it was just too much, and they just had to stop. And they vacated all the plans, and nothing Nirvana has really ever been touched since. There's been a few remasters, but remasters, whatever. You know.
Is what it is.
The album debuted at number 1 on the US Billboard 200 and has been certified 8 times platinum as recently as 2020.
Wow.
It won the Best Alternative Music Performance at the 1996 Grammys. It's strange that a performance in 1993 won an award in 1996, but that's
True.
just the way the award cycle works.
Somehow.
Basically, what happened was the album came out too late, because the album came out in 1994, but it came out too late in 1994 to be on the 1995 Grammys.
Gotcha.
So then it had to be pushed to the 1996 Grammys. That's the way
Got it.
it works. It has to come out
Understanded.
before like the middle of, I forget the deadline. It's like the middle of October, beginning of October is the cutoff or something.
I see.
This Grammy win is unfortunately, but also I guess fortunately, this is Nirvana's only Grammy win of their careers.
They
Unlike,
got one.
yeah, they did get one. They did get one, and it was very well deserved, admittedly. Unlike prior MTV Unplugged performances, which were entirely acoustic, Nirvana did use electric amplification and guitar effects during the set. You can hear this prominently. Specifically, the only person that used it was Kurt, the lead singer. He, and I believe I go into this, he did not feel comfortable playing without an electric guitar. He played on electrics. He played on, I believe, on a Fender, and he only played on his Fender. So anything that didn't sound like his Fender sounded wrong. So this was something that they wanted to do for years, but Kurt just would never agree to it, and then finally he agreed to it. But there were some circumstances, obviously, like I said. They did hide an amp on stage. They like covered it up and trying to hide it in the set design. And you can hear it prominently on the David Bowie cover, "The Man Who Sold the World," the beginning intro. Do you know that one?
Yeah. I'm listening to it right now.
Okay. Perfect. He's on the case. But the opening intro to that song is like the most prominent time you can hear the guitar effects and the amp being used. Because I mean, it sounds really good, but obviously that is not the sound an acoustic guitar makes.
Oh, true. Of course. Yeah. It's not even close.
So technically, if you want to be really technical, it's not an unplugged performance, but for the most part it is. There were very few instances where Kurt was using super heavy effects on the acoustic guitar. That was one of them. The Man Who Sold the World. Nirvana rehearsed for 2 days prior to the performance at the SST rehearsal facility in Weehawken, New Jersey. The rehearsals...
Sorry. What kind of name is that? Weehawken?
Bro, it's New Jersey!
Come on.
Come on, you're from Pennsylvania. You should immediately, like, write New Jersey off, alright? It's New Jersey, bro.
Yeah, I guess. I guess you're not too wrong there.
Anyway,
enough.
enough about Weehawken.
The state over.
The rehearsals were described as being very tense, very difficult. The band ran into several problems performing several songs, not understanding how to get the feel of certain songs on an acoustic guitar, because playing an acoustic guitar and playing an electric guitar, very similar, but not the same.
Yeah, makes sense.
During these rehearsal sessions, Cobain disagreed with MTV about certain things about the performance. And the day before filming, Cobain basically refused to play in the studio, but the next day arrived, the day of the performance, and in strolls Kurt Cobain through the door, baby. Unfortunately, unbeknownst at the time, Cobain was suffering from drug withdrawal and nervousness at the time, and there was no joking, no smiles, no fun coming from him. Everything was more than a little worried. Or everyone was more than a little worried about his performance that night. So right before we started recording, and you can kind of
Mm-hmm.
tell on the album cover just a little bit, but a little bit better if you look at the video performance of it. I wanted to highlight, obviously, I mentioned to you before the stage design for this. It's a very superficial setup. It's like just kind of tossed together. It is done in the Sony Music Studios in New York City, obviously. It is described as being, and very fitting, I suppose, considering I more haunting than fitting, I suppose,
Oh yeah.
considering the timing of everything. But Kurt Cobain basically wanted the stage setup to look like a funeral. He wanted, all the candles to be set up, little like floral like design and like bouquet things. It just in very very strange way. Like people asked him about it. The producer of the show, Alex Coletti, asked, "You mean like a funeral?" And Kurt Cobain replied, "Exactly, like a funeral." And knowing what happened just 5 months later,
That's crazy.
it's kind of disturbing. But
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
unlike many artists who appeared on the show, Nirvana filmed the entire performance, the entire 14 songs, all in one take.
Goaded.
Basically, you know, other artists, they for the TV taping, because they would just air these on the music television channel. Crazy,
Mm-hmm.
crazy. The channel that plays ridiculousness 24/7. They would just play these MTV Unplugged performances, but oftentimes some artists would need to do a retake on a song because it didn't sound right. They didn't like the take. Whatever the reason would be. Nirvana did it all in one. They didn't care. It included one song from their debut album, Bleach, About a Girl. That's the opening track. It includes four songs from their second album, probably their most popular album, and probably one of the most popular album and album covers of all time. Many people know Nevermind, The Baby, Floating in a Pool, Chilling.
Mm-hmm.
There's four songs from Nevermind, three songs from their third album, In Utero, and then the performance also includes six covers. Three of them being from another grunge rock band, the Meat Puppets. Crazy, absolutely crazy name. But for those three songs, they played those three songs all in order. They played. Oh, it actually has them out of order on the album. That's strange. But on the taping, they play "Oh Me," "Lake of Fire," and "Plateau" 1, 2, 3 in a row because Kurt actually brings. This is another thing with the MTV performances. They would bring other celebrities or other artists on stage, and oftentimes it was bigger artists because they'd want the excitement of a big name. Kurt Cobain didn't care. Kurt Cobain wanted to have his friends and the people he vibed with, so he invited people that he toured with, the Meat Puppets, and two of the members came on stage, two brothers. They came on stage and they played with him while he sang songs that weren't his. He very, 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 very much struggled with it because instead of changing the key of the song to, better match his vocal range, he just
Mm-hmm.
tried to sing the song exactly, in the key that it was. And
Fair.
if you pay close attention to those songs, especially, I believe it's, if I'm not mistaken, I believe it's Plateau is the one that he really strains his voice on, but you can hear his voice cracking and it sounds like he's in pain singing. But that's what he wanted. He wanted to be challenged. He didn't want the easy route.
Mm-hmm.
Um, at the time of the recording, In Utero's All Apologies hadn't been released as a single yet, so the only contemporary single or the only contemporary hit single, I should say, that the band performed during the 14 song performance was Come As You Are, the second song of the performance. this was something that MTV did not like because, again, when you pay for, like an artist to perform for you for, like an hour, let's just say we have an hour television slot to fill on TV. We need you to perform an hour's worth of songs. And then you don't play any of your big songs that people are going to recognize.
Mhm.
It's like, could you imagine if somebody like Usher didn't play Yeah at one of his shows? You
Yeah.
can't. No, you can't say yeah to that. That's the song, man. Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um. So, Brian, I did want to ask you, and
Mhm.
obviously, I know you mentioned this to me before we started recording, that it's kind of hard to understand Kurt Cobain at times.
You're.
Kurt Cobain
I
has a
did.
very unique vocal delivery, very nasally, very mumbly. Sounds like he's not even talking sometimes.
Hmm.
Do you have any thoughts? I guess I don't know. It compared to everything else, I think I've given you music wise. I think this is the most diverse in the terms of the singing. I guess so.
Uh, I don't know. I like it. I like listening to people whether they're singing. I know just when they're singing. I mumble. At least I can understand something, right?
Hmm.
Like I don't know. I like vocalists have a unique like way to deliver their words, or like just a unique voice in general. I just like it.
Yeah, I mean
So
it makes it so much easier. Just as an example, because I think this is something you kind of alluded to again earlier. Um, you can hear, when when you're at work and you're listening to the work radio. If a Nirvana song were to come on and it's not a song you recognize, you could still probably recognize it's a Nirvana song by hearing his voice.
oh yeah, I didn't know "Come as You Are" with the Nirvana song. I heard on the radio and I saw on this on this album. Like, no
Yeah.
wonder I can't understand him.
Yeah, so I mean, it makes it really easy to identify. It's a very, very distinct voice. A lot of people really enjoy distinct voices in music. Kurt Cobain's is one of the greatest voices in music of all time, and it's a shame that we didn't get more.
Really, it's a shame.
Um, so this being our first live album, Brian, I did want to ask you really quick and just like I guess a general wrap up thoughts, but also kind of highlighting specifically thoughts on live albums, but this album specifically.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that
Yeah,
was the whole.
that was a prompt. Sorry.
Oh, okay. I was like, hold on. I thought you were just speaking and you're gonna tell me to prompt. Oh no. Yeah. Oh, I like that. I've heard the volume before. Well, I mean, the only I've only heard two songs. I was gonna say one song. I've heard two songs. So obviously, who hasn't heard songs like Teen Spirit?
Hmm.
And then in the most recent Batman movie, something in the way
Yes,
was played or was used as the was it closing or was it something? I don't know.
it was
4 hour
used
movie.
as
I
like
don't
the
care.
title track, basically.
It's somewhere, yeah.
I think it's
But
used
I'm like,
twice in that movie.
I liked it. I don't know. I like something in a way. So
It's a good song.
I vibe with it.
Very
Really
good song.
matched the movie, but going back to the thing. Yeah. Um, I liked it. I liked it. Nirvana's a good band. In terms of this being the most different album because it's a live album. I don't mind a live album. A lot of K-pop artists, actually I don't know anymore. They used to do it a lot. They would have their concerts as a live album
Yeah.
because they're touring. They can't make music, so why not? We'll just you get to hear your favorite artists sing their like best songs with a crowd in the background singing along, which
Hmm.
sounds crazy. So
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
like you
I like it a
said,
lot.
live
I like
albums,
them.
they're a different experience because, I mean, the sound's going to be a little bit more raw. You're not going to have the very finished, polished product. You have a bunch of different microphones set up all over the place, so you're picking up people clapping, you're picking up people cheering, hollering, whistling. You're picking up, obviously, the music on stage, again, sounding raw, different, unique. All of it meshing together just creates a very for lack of better, I don't know, for lack of better words, it just creates a really intimate feeling. In a way, like I can
Such a good
almost,
mood.
yeah, I can almost feel like
I'm
in,
there.
yeah, it's a shame I can't be, but I can almost feel like I'm there. And in the case of Nirvana here, I mean, you're never gonna be able to experience that. You and I would never be
Yeah.
able to experience that live. So for this to exist, obviously, they're not the only band that has a live album. Plenty of bands do, but in the special case of Nirvana being out in the '90s, the late '80s, early '90s, before our time, this live performance, this live album, kind of
It's the
gives
best we got.
us that sense. And in a very odd way, this album, when I listen to it, just kind of feels like a hug. It feels very comforting. I don't know.
That's fair.
So Brian,
Okay.
any favorite songs this week?
Yeah. So we go in order the album. I liked About a Girl.
Banger.
I like the way he sings it. Um, Now I know you said something about what was it the songs that he covered by the Meat Puppets or whatever?
Yes.
Plateau, where his voice starts cracking. I
Yes.
don't know. I kind of liked it. Not gonna lie to you. Pretty good.
That's so good. I love
I
that.
liked it.
I love that
And
so much.
as mentioned before, "Come as You Are." I heard on the radio. I liked it. And then "Something in the Way" because well, Batman. So
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
songs that you recognized obviously makes sense. Um that pull for Plateau from you is so, I did not expect that, because the Meat Puppets are very unique sounding, and those three songs back to back to back are just, hearing Kurt try his heart out to do those songs and do them justice just hits. It hits the soul. Hearing his voice crack, it gives me pain, but also, I don't know. It just, I love it. I love every second of it. It feels very real.
Yeah, I get that.
Um, for me, um, I really love "The Man Who Sold the World." It's a David Bowie cover. If you haven't listened to the original, do yourself a favor. Listen to the original by David Bowie. It's also incredible. I'm not going to choose a favorite between the two because I think that'll be a bad idea. Both are very
Yeah.
good songs in their own right. They're both very different songs in ways I think they deliver different messages because they sound so different, but they're the same song in theory.
Mhm.
Penny Royalty, another banger off of In Utero. Absolutely love that song. Um, Something in the Way, like you said, I mean, it's from the new Batman movie. It's a good song. It's enjoyable. Uh, Lake of Fire, personally, for me, that's probably my favorite of the Meat Puppet covers. But I do love all of the Meat Puppet covers. They're very good, very enjoyable. Very, I don't know. There's a lot of songs in this album that are very good to me.
Mhm.
Um, do we even wanna?
Not really.
Okay. Least favorite sweet. Come on, guys.
We don't dislike music here.
When it
Much
when
as
it
I
happens,
don't.
you'll know. Okay.
Yep.
Uh,
I mean, I may act like I don't want to be here, but when there's ever a song or an album that comes out and the title track is a song I don't like, you just know I don't want to do it. So why I don't choose it, you know?
All
I
right. So
gotta
I gotta
act.
I
I
gotta
gotta
I gotta
act.
start thinking.
You're gonna try to make me find a song I don't like.
I'm gonna have to.
You're
That's my
going.
goal.
That's going to be the worst episode ever.
That's
I'm gonna
okay.
sit there and be like, I'm not gonna listen to it. I'm gonna listen to it once and that's it.
That's
One and
okay.
done. I usually come back to the albums after like first listen, because get a better view. Give me a song I don't like, it's over. It's one and done.
It's done. It's over. Podcast is ruined. Move on, guys. So Brian, the most
Yep.
faded part of the episode. I gotta know. I'm
Mhm.
curious. What'd you give this album out of 10?
You an 8 out of 10.
An 8 out of 10. All right. That's a
Little
very,
8.
very respectable score. That's a passing grade, baby. We're going to take that and we're going to run with it.
All right. What are you running to?
I'm running to a 9, man. I love this album. This album, it just, I don't know. I think it would get a higher score if, again, maybe they included one or two of the bigger
Their bigger
songs,
songs.
or maybe just a few different selections. Because there's a couple songs in here I'm not huge on. They're not bad songs. They don't belong on, the bad song list or the least favorite list. But
Hmm.
there's a few choices in there I would probably switch up. Dumb is okay.
Dumb is okay.
It's the truth. It's okay. Um, I will say though, the
Oh,
choices of the
uh,
covers on this album absolutely elite. Go ahead, Brian. Sorry.
I was gonna say I thought, in my personal opinion, I don't know what the lore is, but I thought that Jesus doesn't want me for a what's it called, for a sunbeam. I was like, what is this song? What is it about?
That's a cover.
I know, but I'm like, this is weird.
It's
I
a
was like,
very strange song, but it's a good. I really enjoy that song too.
it's not bad. I'm like, what am I listening to? Don't expect it to die.
Where did
Okay.
you sleep last night's also a really good cover.
In my bed.
True. Me too.
Huge. Bed gang.
Bed gang.
Bed
Um,
gang.
anything else you want to cover this week, Brian?
Not really.
All right, now that we've talked about where we slept last night, our beds, and a little bit about Nirvana, if you guys like this episode, leave a comment, like, subscribe, give us a rating on Apple Music, Spotify. Brian's throwing up gang signs or something.
I would not. Hold on. I am not affiliated with any gangs. I went to college. I'm a good boy.
I went to
True ones
college.
know where
I'm a
that clip.
good boy.
True ones know where that quote came from. Good old Kai Sinat in there.
Oh
Said that
boy.
in a not like us thing. He did. I want a crip walk so badly, and he threw up gang signs. It was like, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry.
That's evil.
I am not affiliated with any gangs. I went to college. I'm a good boy.
Oh
It's so
no,
good.
bro.
I can show you after. It's so funny.
All right, guys. We will see you guys next week.
See
See
ya.
ya.